All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regular scheduled Taber Town Council meeting for March the 10th, 2025. I will call the meeting to order and ask for the adoption of the agenda as presented, please. Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried. Now, so just for the record, Councillor Sorensen is not able to attend today as well. All right, on to item 3, public hearings. We have 4 public hearings. Item 3.1 related to public hearing direct control DP-25-012. We'll call the public meeting to order. And just to advise that members of the public in attendance who wish to speak against or for direct control development application 25-012 will have a 5-minute time limit for speaking and must state their full name for the record. And also must state if they are speaking for themselves or on behalf of any group or organization. So direct control development application 25-012. Mr. Tebow?
Mayor and Council, this is direct control for out in the meadows, and I'll get Ms. Selena Newberry and Chris Egan to come forward.
All right, thank you. Mr. Egan, Ms. Newberry?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
Good afternoon.
So today we have before us a public hearing for a slab-on-grade house out at the Meadows, which is a direct control district, and slab-on-grade is a discretionary use out there, so we hold a public hearing. I have received no comments at this time.
All right, thank you. No written comments, no verbal comments, nothing? Great, thank you. All right, is anyone present who wishes to speak against direct control application 25-012? Anyone present wishing to speak against direct control development application 25-012 a second time? And anyone present wishing to speak against direct control application 25-012 a third and final time? Seeing none, is anyone present wishing to speak for direct control application 25-012? Anyone wishing to speak for development application 25-012 for a second time? And anyone wish to speak for direct control application 25-012 a third and final time? Seeing none, all right. Could I ask for a motion to accept this for information, please? Councillor Firth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we accept the input received at this public hearing for direct control development application 25012.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carry now, so just to hereby close the meeting as well. No, just for that particular hearing, sorry, for this particular hearing. And also on to item 3.2, call that public hearing to order. And once again, members of the public in attendance who wish to speak against or for direct control development application 25-013 will have a 5-minute time limit for speaking and must state their full name for the record, and also must state if they're speaking for any or for themselves or on behalf of any group or organization. Direct control application 25-013, Mr. Tebow?
This one is exactly the same as the last one, as will the next two be, so I'll have Selena and Chris stay here, and administration actually hopes to streamline this a little bit so we don't have to go one by one for these things. Maybe update the land use bylaw so that we don't have to talk about these ones if council is actually in favor of them every single time. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Newberry, just again to confirm.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I have
afternoon.
not received any communications, written or other, on this application either.
All right, thank you. Is anyone present wishing to speak against direct control bylaw 25-013? Anyone wishing to speak against direct control application 25-013 a second time? And anyone wishing to speak against direct control application 25-013 a third and final time? All right, anyone wish to speak for direct control bylaw, or application rather, 25-013? Anyone wish to speak for direct application 25-013 a second time? Anyone present wish to speak for development application 25-013 for a third and final time? Right, seeing none, ask for a motion to accept that for information as well. Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council accept for accepts for information the input received at this public hearing for direct control development application DP 25-013.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Also close that hearing. On to item 3.3. I will call that public hearing meeting to order. And once again, members of the public in attendance who wish to speak against or for direct control development application 25-014 will have a 5-minute time limit for speaking and must state their full name for the record, and also must state if they are speaking for themselves or on behalf of any group or organization. Related to that application 25-014, Mr. Tebow?
Same as the previous one. Selena and Chris will speak to council.
All right, thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Council. Again, with this one, we have received no communication, written or otherwise.
All right, thank you. Is anyone present who wishes to speak against direct control application 25-014? Anyone wish to speak against direct control application 25-014 second time? Anyone wish to speak against direct control application 25014 a third and final time? All right, anyone present wish to speak for direct control application 25-014? Anyone wish to speak for direct control application 25-014 a second time? And is there anyone present, anyone wish to speak for direct control application 25-014 a third and final time? All right, seeing none, ask for motion to accept that as information as well, please. Councilor Rufford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make a motion that council accept for information the input received at this public hearing for direct control development application DP 25-014.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Also close that hearing. Also on to item 3.4, public hearing. I'll call that public hearing meeting to order. And once again advise that members of the public in attendance who wish to speak against or for direct control development application 25-015 will have a 5-minute time limit for speaking and must state their full name for the record, and also must state if they are speaking for themselves or on behalf of any group or organization. Related to direct control application 25-015, Mr. Tebow?
The last one of the bunch, over to Selena.
All right, thank you.
Again, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. We have received no communication, written or otherwise, for this hearing as well.
All right, thank you. Consistent across the board, that's good. All right, is there anyone present who wishes to speak against direct control application 25-015? Anyone wish to speak against direct control application 25-015 a second time? Anyone wish to speak against direct control application 25-015 a third and final time? All right, anyone wish to speak for direct control application 25-015? Anyone present wish to speak for direct control application 25-015 a second time? And is there anyone present wish to speak for direct control application 25-015 a third and final time? All right, seeing none, I have a motion to accept that for information. Councilor Beckering?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move that council accept for information the input received at this public hearing for direct control development application DP 25-015.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Also close that hearing. Moving on to item number 4, item 4.1, adoption of the minutes of regular council meeting February 24th, 2025. Mr. Tebow?
Administration has noted nothing to change in the minutes, so over to council.
All right, thank you. Anything arising? Councilor Bruin?
I'd like to make the motion that council adopts the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on February 24th, 2025 as presented.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 5, business arising from the minutes. There are none. Item 6, bylaws. Item 6.1, bylaw 9-2025, lending bylaw, TD Cala. Mr. Tebow.
Mr. Orwell will come up and present the TD Cala lending bylaw.
All right, thank you, Mr. Orwa.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
Good afternoon.
Now, before you is the bylaw 9-2025 lending bylaw. That's for TD Cala. That is the Taban District Community Adult Learning Association. Now, this one is just coming today because we were waiting for a few information. The financing was dependent upon some areas, just to remind council, based on the resolution passed June 24, 2024. And so far, we've met all those conditions. We've gotten clearance from Municipal District of Tabor. They'll be issuing the same amount of money, interest-free loan, 10-year term. And again, CFEP as well has already sent to us a letter confirming that they will also meet those obligations. So based on this, we're now proceeding to the advertisement stage, and we're just looking for, administration is looking for the first reading of the lending bylaw so that we can go and advertise.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? None whatsoever? Some are prepared to make the required motion. Councilor McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move that council gives the first reading to bylaw 9-2025, being the lending bylaw, TD Cala of the town of Tabor.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And on to item 7, action items. Item 7.1, communications planning requests. Mr. Tebow.
We'll have Miss Megan Brennan come forward, and this one is response to a resolution, I believe, made by Councillor Sorensen, Resolution 310, back in 2024. So this is our response to
All right.
that.
Thank you, Ms. Brennan.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So I understand municipal communication is largely an operational matter, but Council has that resolution and have had a number of discussions and a vested interest in communications succeeding here at the town of Tabor. And so for the first time in my 10 years here at the town of Tabor, I'm coming to ask you for money. I do think it's necessary and important to recognize how far the town's come in the 10 years that I've been here, considering this position and this function was born out of severe controversy. And there's been a great deal of unprecedented and unplanned work and crises and controversies and events that nobody planned for when this position was approved in 2015. But with that success comes greater demand, and unfortunately our resourcing is not keeping up. So our communications plan is outdated, and I need an external resource to help me create a new one into the future. So you'll see that the $25,000 I'm asking for includes both a communications audit as well as a plan. And I know council doesn't like to see numbers attached to the word audit, but I would like council to frame it more as a master planning exercise. Communications plans are equally as important as transportation master plans, wastewater master plans, those sorts of things. So while in my world they're called communications audits, they result in a master plan that will lead us into the future of communications. So with that being said, I don't have a great deal more to add than what was already in the agenda item, but I am available for council's questions should they have any.
All right, thank you. Councilor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Megan. Can you give us an example who that might be, the external entity that might provide some help to you, please?
Thank you, Councillor Beckering. Yes, I can't give you an exact name, but there are multiple, they're called communications contractors. They're groups like Focus Communications or Catalyst. They're external experts in the field. They would be communicators or PR professionals with decades of experience. So they will understand the municipal world. They will come in, they know our processes, they know what we do and how we do it, and how we can improve it based on their expertise with other municipalities. I can tell you with certainty that many of my colleagues have gone through the same thing. I can name Devon, Edson, Edmonton, Calgary, you name the municipality, it's very likely they've gone through a communications audit with these contractors.
All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Brennan, just as a question, not exactly sure who might do that, but they're experts in their field, basically, right? Okay, thank you. And just to clarify, how do you foresee this in the future compared to the plans you've provided for us previously in the last few years?
I can tell you that they're always better when a contractor does them because they have the time, the ability, and the reach that I necessarily wouldn't have in this organization. And to be quite honest and to get into operations a little bit, I'm already overwhelmed with the amount of day-to-day things. I wouldn't be able to do a new communication plan at the earliest until summer 2026, and that's being very hopeful.
Okay, the last one you did would have taken, I don't know, just as a guesstimate, a few months roughly to complete, or
About half a year.
6 months? Okay, great, thank you. All right. And again, it's just, you'd have some input in this, I understand also, with whoever might partake in this particular capacity.
Both administration and council will have input. So
okay.
generally, each contractor's a little bit different on their process, but generally what happens is they kind of get a scope of our various policies and the state of where the town of Tabor is currently with communications. They'll talk to senior members of administration or members of administration that we identify, and then counselors will also be involved in some capacity to see where council wants to go in the future, their strategic initiatives, things like that. So everybody at the town is involved in a communications audit and plan session. It's
All right.
very much like strategic planning, if that helps
Okay.
council frame it a bit.
And just as a guess, will this be somewhere in that 6-month neighborhood also to complete that particular project?
Not for them, no. It would be much quicker.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ms. Brennan. Any other questions? Councillor Firth?
No questions. I was just prepared to make a motion.
Very well.
I move that council approves a budget of $25,000 to be taken from the operating reserves for the purpose of the 2025 communications planning project.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 7.2, Municipal Emergency Management Plan. Mr. Tebow.
So it looks like we have a couple in attendance, AC West and Chief Munshaw, and they'll come forward. This did already go in front of the Emergency Management Committee, so new to some of you.
Yes, all right. Thank you. Chief Munshaw, AC West. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mayor and Council. It's a wonderful day. I'm able to bring AC West, our Deputy DM, Director of Emergency Management, with us today, and she's done all of the review on our emergency management plan, so she'll walk through that with us.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon.
Oh, there we go. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
Good afternoon.
I can talk loud without it. So as you'll see in your agenda package, we have the updated municipal emergency management plan included. It does look quite different from the previous plan. These changes are due to a few reasons. Primarily, the federal government undertook a review and update of their framework for emergency management, which resulted down to provincial looking into reviewing and updating their emergency management plan. And out of the Alberta Emergency Management Plan review came the Alberta Incident Management Standards, known as the AIM system. So with that, it required quite a few extensive updates to our plan. Primarily, you'll see it is a much more streamlined and shorter format of the document. There's some changes in terminology just to align with those provincial standards. The contact lists have all been updated. There is a process for decision-making to help guide the incident command staff with certain hazard-specific type incidents, as well as hazard-specific plans that relate to the risk in our community. And you'll find that with that formatting change, there's been a little bit of separation of the context of the previous plan into appendixes just for easier reference. So this plan did go to review of the Municipal Emergency Management Committee on March 3rd, and they were in support of bringing it forward to you today. So they are here to answer any questions that you might have, and I can assist as well.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Firth?
So was the purpose of the changes, of the province-wide changes, is it so that there's consistency across the board? So everybody's kind of speaking the same language, using the same terms? Like, was that the motivation for the change? Or, like, I don't know if you can answer that question.
Oh, thank you, Councillor. Yes, that is exactly why. Starting with the federal review, that they are looking for more standardized framework and emergency management across the country. So each province had to do a review of their plans, and then that, of course, trickles down to the municipalities within those provinces. You're welcome.
Great, thank you. Councillor Pickering?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to let council know, the Emergency Management Committee met last Monday, I guess it was, and we discussed this document extensively, not. But we agree with it and we approved it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, actually, thank you so much, EC West, for your review and the comprehensive report. A lot of work has gone into that, right? So very important that we support that 100%. Any other questions? Councillor Reffert?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, I think it looks awesome. I'd just like to make a recommendation
Sure.
That council approves the updated Town of Tabor Municipal Emergency Management Plan.
Right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? All carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
All right, on to item 7.3, tax incentive approvals, residential, commercial, and industrial. Mr. Tebow.
We'll have Amy Allred come forward. There are two recommendations in here, and Amy will explain what they are. This is also the handout that I gave council, the extra handout. So there's two additional names that made the list, but that's the only adjustment to this particular item, agenda item.
All right, thank you. Amy, welcome.
Hello, Council.
Hello.
So I'm here to present the qualifying applications for both the residential tax incentive and the investment incentive bylaw. We tried to capture all of the qualifying properties by sorting through our development permits first to see which ones qualify. Each of these applications will be required to enter into a tax agreement which outlines the ongoing requirements of the incentive, such as keeping their property taxes paid. The residential tax incentive is a 4-year tiered exemption that applies to residential properties, including but not limited to single-family homes, new manufactured homes, multi or mixed-use developments, and the renovated portion of a legal suite. And the investment incentive is a 5-year tiered exemption that applies to industrial and commercial properties, including the increased portion of a renovation. So on your sheet, it shows the properties that qualify for this year. There are 2 new ones highlighted at the bottom that we've added since the agenda package went out. There was a discrepancy on Superior's portal that didn't show the updated occupancy dates for these 2 manufactured homes, but we have confirmed that they did receive their occupancy in 2024, which is what is required by the bylaw. So we have reviewed the applications according to the criteria for eligibility in each bylaw, and these 22 properties qualify to start the incentive this year. For anyone who applied in 2024, but they didn't receive occupancy, we have contacted all of them to remind them that it starts the year after occupancy, so that we'll be in touch in the new year in January to see if they received their occupancy and look at them at that time. Are there any questions?
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Amy. Can you use an idea, I'm sure you can, the tax dollars that we are incentivizing, sort of, I guess?
Yeah, so we'll be coming back to council with that in April. We're compiling all of the numbers.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. This program has worked very well. 2 years, right? 2 years we had this altogether?
For the residential, this will be the first year that we have any residential ones approved.
Okay,
And the
okay.
industrial, the incentive, investment incentive, we had a few last year. We'll see more of those next year. Those ones tend to take a little bit longer to get their occupancy.
Right, okay, great, thank you. Any other questions arising? Councillor Firth?
No questions, Mr. Mayor, but I'm prepared to make a motion.
All right,
I move that council approves the applications for the residential tax incentive to start in 2025.
thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. All right, thank you. The second motion, Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council approves the applications for the investment incentive to start in 2025.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, on to item 7.4, 62nd Street Extension, Shallow Utilities Project. Mr. Tebow.
I'll ask Mr. Chris Egan to come forward. This is the utilities out in Eureka based on all the development that we have going on out there and lot servicing. Over to Chris.
All right, Mr. Egan.
Thank you very much, Mayor and Council. This is the next phase of development in the Eureka parcel of land between, in this particular, our request for decision is composed of a request for a budget to construct the shallow utilities along 62nd Street between 60th Avenue and 72nd Avenue. And this will allow us to have 9 acres worth of fully serviced lots on the west side of 62nd Street extension, to which they'll be ready just for purchase and subdivision after this is constructed. So there have been 4 previous other RFDs associated with Eureka, and there will be many others in the future as development continues and land is purchased and individuals, landowners subdivide and redistrict and then construct on those particular properties. So this particular ask is for a budget of $400,000, which includes contingencies, and the estimate is based on a ATCO and Fortis certified design build contractor and their information. So in these particular things, ATCO and Fortis have a narrow number of certified designer contractors who design and build, and so we want those utilities which we do. Then we typically work with those particular contractors.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councilor Berkey?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Chris. Exactly what are we paying for? We're not paying to install natural gas. We're not doing that.
No, this would be the conduits inside the utility right away that allows Fortis to pull their wires, ATCO to pull their particular gas lines, and then the other shallows include, where are we here?
Telus and Rogers.
Telus and Rogers.
And street lighting too, I guess. Yeah. So can you describe for me, if I may, Mr. Mayor?
Sure.
Street lighting, what does entail that? You put some wire underneath the ground and you put a base, or what do you do?
So for each pole, there's a foundation for it, and the pole and the head are purchased, and then Fortis wires it and wires it into this shallow utility right-of-way, which contains their power lines for distribution through in this case, this particular parcel of land. But there are deep utilities, which are the water utilities, essentially, and the shallows are everything else. So every lot we sell requires both of those typically. And so just like a residential subdivision, we install same as a residential developer would. In this case, we are the developer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Follow up?
Sure, you bet.
Would you not put the deep services in first, Mr. Egan?
Yep, so they did go in.
Oh, did go in.
And so previous to this, for example, there was water in this location.
Yeah.
And then we already have approval, and that work is being designed and tendered right now. And those deeps will go in. They're generally in the street, and the shallow utilities are in a utility right away just to the side of the street on an adjacent property. We also have installed the deep utilities north of 72nd up to 80th in order to facilitate the power fuels development and some other work that'll be happening along there. That'll likely be the next phase of the shallow utilities. So each of these components will go forth: roads, stormwater management, shallow and deep utilities all go in a phased process.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, sure, thank you. All right, so just a clarification question, is this the same area, just to confirm that we approved the $4.2 million worth of service infrastructure?
So
Same
this is
area?
just to the south of that.
Just to the south?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not the same particular area, that's further south, okay.
So this is to the south of that area.
Okay.
That
yeah.
particular, so 72nd Avenue,
Mhm.
north to 80th, which comprises that quarter section of land that was farmed last year
Okay.
until last fall. So
And
that
I-
work is to take deep utilities around that area.
And I'm just trying to recall, have we had this asked before anywhere else for the shallow services?
No,
'Cause I don't remember that
I
at all.
don't believe
personally,
we
yeah.
have, no.
Okay. So, I'm just don't understand, Mr. Tebow, how this came about at this stage, I guess, is the question.
I don't understand the question 100%, other than we said we would have service lots, and this is part and
Yeah,
parcel.
well, that's what I'm saying. We've never seen a shallow service. I guess it's got to happen at some point. That makes sense. But I guess it hasn't come up before, and that's what's a little confusing to me about that. It has to be done, I guess, at some point, evidently, but it just hasn't come up.
No.
In
so,
other
so this is the
developments.
last component of work
Okay.
along this part of 62nd Street.
Okay.
And so you'll see paved roads,
Yeah. All right.
lights, and the shallow utilities infrastructure in place, so that as this land on the west side, that 9 acres gets divided up, whoever 9 1-acre lots or whatever people want to buy, then they'll be able to contract directly with, for example, Fortis to bring power into their property, and with us to bring water and sanitary and stormwater management into their particular property so they can build.
All right, thank you. Councillor Bruin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I assume we'll be doing the same thing between 72nd and 80th for shallow.
Yes.
So we really haven't done any commercial lots for quite a while. So this is kind of new to us that way because we haven't put in shallow utilities. So it's good to see them going in.
Yep.
Okay, but is the other area like that we approved the 4.2, I think, for originally, is that included shallow services there then or not?
Just deep utilities.
Just deep utilities.
And
Okay.
the road.
All right. So any finance involvement with this, Mr. Thibault, at all? With this particular, with the capital reserve, I know, that's what I'm saying, but, so any input from finance related to this?
Finance would have had the ability to review this prior to the agenda coming forward, like they normally do,
Okay.
but there was no direct conversation between John and myself, or
guess
I don't
that-
know if Chris did.
I guess my question is, I think it happened, I'm not sure if Mr. Earl wasn't here, the last one, we had the $4 million or so. I don't believe there's any involvement there. We didn't have a chance to ask you, but always cognizant of the fact that we're going to capital reserves, or when we do. How are we doing, Mr. Earl, for the capital reserve total as it stands? If you can answer that off the top by chance.
Well, I should be able to answer that question effectively when we complete the audit, which is starting next week, because there are going to be a lot of movements back and forth. And I think when I bring it back to council, I should be able to tell you exactly how much we have in both capital and operating reserves.
I guess I don't want to put you on the spot for exact figures, but like this is getting close to about a $5 million expenditure that we've just approved in the last month or so, if assuming this goes through too. But so I guess, does that create some difficulty in your mind with that total for our current level?
I'm not very sure because what I've not seen is the estimate, so I cannot tell. If I saw the estimates, then I would tell. I'm only seeing the map. I've not seen the estimates.
For this particular project?
For this particular project, I've not seen the estimates, so I cannot say anything about it. But if I'd known the estimates, then I would comment.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Thibault?
My question was just a little earlier on. I don't know when the last time we developed Eureka, which was kind of what Councillor Burin had mentioned. I don't know how much we were actually even a developer in Eureka at all before. So that might be why something hasn't come this direction. And from a financial perspective, the land sales that we have are helping offset these costs. That was the whole purpose of having land sales, and we were going to start tracking land sales separately, if council recalls, and then use that money to look after this type of activity. That's the sort of the recycling of land sales that we were
We
anticipating.
won't see that breakdown until, like Mr. Roa says, sometime next month or later this month?
Some of it would definitely be there then. Some of those land sales have taken place, and some of those land sales are yet to take place.
Okay, thank you. All right, Councillor Renfret?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So if we put this 400 grand in, we get 9 acres that's available to sale. If we don't do the 400 grand, we really can't sell the 9 acres in a sense, right?
Yeah.
You can sell it without, like, I mean, but if, regardless, it's gotta be paid, and we've paid it in the past usually.
Yeah,
Like, or we took it off the price.
So the developer always pays for these shallow utilities. There's a pretty long lead time because the specialty contractors that are ATCO and Fortis approved have a lot of work. So if anyone can buy the land right now, raw or fully serviced, so these lots, 9 acres would be fully serviced after this work is done, which would allow a speedy just subdivision development permit and right into construction versus waiting for the shallow utility contractors or designers, and then for them to come and schedule the work, do the work to allow them to get power. So for this limited 9 acres, this would make them essentially ready to go.
Yeah, so just to keep going, so we average roughly, I guess, Mr. Thibault, about 175,000 an acre. So it would be about 1.6 million.
Yeah,
Sell it for?
our list price is 175 or 172, maybe 172,000 an acre for interior lots, and we've been getting that.
So if we're at $1.5 million, right, and we got a good tax incentive, and we sell the land sales go good, and sounds great.
All right, thank you. Counselor Bruin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just basically to make it simple, we can sell them serviced or unserviced.
Correct.
The person who buys them is going to pay for these services to go in, because the lot's going to sell for more because it's serviced.
The developer.
The developer, the person who buys that lot,
Yes.
will say, well, it's serviced, it's now worth so much more a dollar per acre because it's serviced. So we're
Correct.
not losing on this.
No.
Sooner or later, it's getting paid, so,
And we would end up, as the developer of the land,
yes.
we end up having to buy this utility and put it in. The landowners don't have that opportunity. They just bring it from what we put in to their particular lots. So whether we do it now or do it later, we're going to be doing it. And but this will allow us. It was some meetings ago, there was a discussion around having some land that's very ready and for a small purchaser who just wants to get in there, put a building up, rather than waiting a substantial period of time. The larger users, industrial users that are looking for 50 acres or 70 acres, they're developing all of that inside their own development, which is going to take many years anyway. So this will allow us to service that particular clientele who want to purchase land and want to go right away.
All right, thank you. Counselor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm ready to make a motion that council approves the 62nd Street South Extension Shallow Utilities Project budget of $400,000 exclusive of GST, and directs administration to add the project to the 2025 capital project list with funding to come from capital reserves.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, on to item 7.5, DP-25-012. Mr. Tebow.
These development permits are directly related to the public hearings that we had earlier, so there will be 4 of these come your way with Selena and Chris back at the helm.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
Good afternoon.
So our first application today is for DP 25-012. We did have a public hearing earlier with no comments and no one from the public came. So this application is for what we would call a slab-on-grade house. This is out in the meadows. We've added it in as a discretionary use. These are for houses that don't have a basement or of a certain size, of a certain height. They're generally designed to fit in with the manufactured homes that are to go out there that district was designed for. This one does meet the requirements and didn't require any variances to any of the setbacks or height or anything like that.
All right. Counselor Bruin.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm prepared to make a motion that council approves development permit DP 25-012 for slab-on-grade house and shed at 7034 48th Street, Unit 91, Condo Plan 2210424, with the following 13 conditions.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.6, DP-25-013. Mr. Tebow.
We'll go through it again. Same 2.
All right.
Mr. Mayor and Council, this application for DP 25-013 is, again, for a slab-on-grade house, similar to the previous one. This one is a little different as it does require a height variance. So the standard height size out there is 4.5 meters. This one comes in at 4.63 meters, so it's about 13 centimeters over the height. It's actually under 10%, so if this were a normal permitted use in a normal district that's not drug control, I could actually grant this variance myself. And we had no other concerns with this.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councilor Rufford?
I'm ready to make that motion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just wondering, that's why it's 14 conditions, because other than that one was 13? Okay. I make a recommendation that council approve development permit DP 25-013 for slab-on-grade house at 4905 72nd Avenue, Unit 19, Condo Plan 2210424, with the following 14 conditions.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion?
That's 1-4, I believe, and what's that, 1-3? Is it not? Are we doing?
Well, actually, this is 1-3.
This is 1-3.
Did you say 1-4?
I said 1-3.
No, you're right.
You
Was I
did.
right?
You're right.
I was
Okay.
scared I wasn't.
Okay. Okay. All right. We do have a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimous. Thank you. On to item 7.7, 25-014. Mr. Tebow.
For a third time, here's Selena and Chris.
All right.
Okay, good afternoon, Mayor and Council again. So for DP 25-14, same as the previous one, this one requires the same variance, and this is actually immediately next door to that previous one.
All right. Thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Bruin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm prepared to make the motion that council approves development plan, or development permit DP 25-014 for a slab on grade house at 4909 72nd Avenue, Unit 20, condo plan 2210424 with the following 14 conditions.
All right. Thank you. Councillor Firth, you have a question? No. Okay, we'll go to the next one. All right, motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 7.8, DP-25-015. Mr. Tebow.
Fourth and final time. Here we go.
All right.
Again, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. So this one is the same as the last two we just saw. We've had the public hearing, no comments, the same variance for height, and this one, they're all located like 1, 2, 3, so right next to each other.
All right, any questions arising? Councillor Firth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move the council approves development permit DP 25-015 for a slab on grade at 4913 72nd Avenue, Unit 21, condo plan 2210424 with the following 14 conditions as listed.
All right. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, and Councillor McLean has had to leave the meeting. All right, moving on to 7.9, information for council. Mr. Tebow.
We'll have Miss Amy Allred come forward to speak to this information item. Yep. And this council had asked for this information previously, so this is just administration following up.
All right, thank you. Ms. Allred?
Yeah, so just in response to your questions about closing the AIP program, we did talk to the province, and they said that this will not affect any future applications or anything, should we want to do anything like this in the future.
All right, thank you. And they're anticipating something new, I suppose, is kind of like the plan, hopefully?
I have no idea what the province is doing.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah,
is
I
a good
guess
program, so I don't know what
It's been
they'll
about
do.
6 months, right? So, yeah, okay. All right, thank you, Amy. Any other information for council, Mr. Tebow?
Nope, nothing further.
All right, on to item 7.10, standing item, council requests. Anyone? Councilor Bruin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mine is a question, not a request, but how are we going with the sound system at the Civic? What have we done there? Are we moving forward? We got anything finalized yet or figured out?
So we are waiting to hear back from that grant. We reapplied for that grant this year for the small ice to get about, I think it was $8 million. Council agreed to put $2 million in. And if that were to come to pass, we'd be able to use that money instead of the money that council has already approved for that upgrade in the large arena. So that's what we were waiting on administratively. But we do have, like, all the contractor quotes and everything came back in. So we do have that ready to go, but administration was thinking that if we got the grant money, we wouldn't have to spend that money in that fashion. So that's where it's at, unless council did not want us to wait for that, and then we could move forward.
All right, thank you. Councilor Everett?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through Tabor Minor Hockey, because I connected that, they have on the second stage of $125,000 grant, right? And they have been in talks with administration if Tabor Minor Hockey gets the $125,000 grant, some of that portion or all of it, matched would go to that also. So there's kind of two ways other to wait.
Right, Councilor Broom?
So our intention is to wait to see if this other grant is approved, which we would know by when.
This grant took an awful long time last time. They don't actually give you a timeline or a deadline for that. So I couldn't give you an answer when. I think when we heard about it last time, it was May or June before we got an answer. Mr. Blake Horanek has indicated that they have started handing out this grant money in one location already, out east somewhere. So the program is happening, but I couldn't tell you how quickly that might come our way, if at all.
I thought when we discussed it previously, we were just going to go ahead with it, but just attending the Titans charity event this weekend, the sound is terrible. Still, it hasn't gotten better for sure. It's really hard to distinguish what they're saying most of the time.
Yeah, and you are correct. That was the direction of council. We just thought with the grant monies that might come our way and working with Tabor Minor Hockey that we might have better use of other monies that wasn't using our money. But like I said, if council wants us to press forward, we can not worry about waiting for any other grant monies and go forward.
Sure, yep.
So if we were to go ahead and do it ourselves, the grant money would not be able to be applied towards it then?
Typically, no. So grant monies give you the money prior to the project happening. After you do the project, there's very few grants that go backwards in time and say you can use their money.
That's the problem.
Right, all right, thank you. Councilor Firth?
I have a separate item, so if we're finished discussing this item? No? Okay.
Yeah, I think so for now. Yep,
Okay, sounds good.
absolutely. Yep.
I spent some time at the curling rink this weekend, and I had several people mention to me that, it sure would be nice if there was an elevator here. I know that the cost of installing an elevator is significant, but I was curious what kind of grants are available to retrofit an older building to make it more accessible. Like, I know that our grant writer is external and not in the room right now, but if anybody in the room does have some expertise as to that, I'd be interested to hear.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tebow.
I have a little of historical expertise in that area, so there are accessibility grants available. How often or how frequent, I don't know, but they would cover something like the elevator. We did get a request through the curling club to our facilities group, and elevator was one of those requests among others for that facility. And again, if we were to be successful with this grant, the curling club is part of that facility and would also get upgrades to it. So we would certainly take that into consideration, but council or administration can go look for some accessibility grants. It is not a cheap undertaking to put in an elevator like you're discussing or talking about, but that doesn't mean we can't go look and see.
Yeah, interesting. I just had the same ask. I'm not wondering if it's the same person, but anyway. Yeah, just as an example, I just wonder if that's, they're talking elevator, right? But I just wonder, is there not something that could be done with the stair railing? You know how they go up like in a chair, you sit in a chair and then kind of up the slope?
Yeah, I would have to look. I don't know if there's a commercial version of that. I mean, we do have one over in the auditorium.
Yeah, for about 4 stairs.
For 4 steps to get up and down as opposed to using the ramp.
Curling never should more than that. But
that
anyway.
might be possible, but I don't know how it would impede that particular staircase. It is a fairly wide staircase, so it's not impossible.
When they're not in use, it folds up, right? So it's right against the wall, basically. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they advertise it on, I don't know, YouTube all the time for a home, with the
Yes.
stairs. So something along those lines maybe is something. I don't know what they're worth, but you wouldn't think they'd be that pricey compared to like an actual elevator, which is another level altogether. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Councilor Firth.
Thank you. I see the fire chief, Chief Munshaw, shaking his head over there. So I don't know if a chairlift is an option, but I know that we've discussed accessibility issues like within that entire building parcel, like including the community center, because that chairlift that we do have in there is not particularly user-friendly. I've heard from people that they don't feel secure or comfortable on it, and then the ramp at the back is also quite steep. So while it is accessible, it's not ideal. It's not up to it's probably not up to current accessibility standards, like if we were to build new, but it's all been grandfathered in. So Yeah, I would like to make a motion to investigate grant opportunities. So I move that council direct administration to investigate grant opportunities to retrofit the community center and curling rink to make it more accessible.
Just as a friendly amendment, wheelchair accessible? Or, Not
Can I just
wheelchair,
leave it as accessible? Because that
accessible,
kind of leaves it wide open. I'm like,
I'm not sure, yeah.
yeah, wheelchair would be like one specific thing. People, it's not necessarily people in
Okay, yeah,
wheelchairs,
yeah.
people with mobility
Yeah.
issues. Some people are,
Right,
just
yeah.
not as mobile as others.
Just accessible. Does that cover all the bases there?
It probably would be better to stay accessible just because there's be bathrooms involved that might not meet accessibility, current accessibility requirements and things like that. So it's probably best to leave it a little broader, Mayor.
Okay, all right, fair enough. All right, we do have a motion on the table. All in favor? Carry unanimously. Thank you. Any other standing item council requests? Right, I don't know about a motion here, but it's just something I just noticed here downtown, just slightly east of Subway on the same side of the street. One of the bricks is up and out. It's still secure, but it must be up about 4 inches right off the curb. One of the, the block, what do you call those, insert bricks? It's just up off the curb there, and it's a real trip hazard for sure. So I don't know if we need a motion on that, but it's whether you got to take it out or pound it back down, whatever it might take, but it's maybe causing some grief down the road here. If we don't,
Administration will look after it operationally if that suits council.
all right.
It's probably frost and heaving
Oh, no doubt,
up and
no
down.
doubt,
So
no doubt. But
there'll be more than one.
I'm sure, yeah. All right, thank you. Any other standing item council requests? All right, see none, we have no delegations, any media inquiries? None whatsoever, okay, that's consistent. All right, we're just asked to move into closed session, and also meal break in here somewhere when we decide. Motion on the table to move into closed session, please. Councilor Bruin, motion on the table, all in favor? Carry unanimously, thank you.